Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you're joining us from around the world. Welcome to Web3 Warriors, episode 114, featuring Sandy Carter, the Chief Operations Officer and go-to-market leader at Unstoppable Domains, which is a leading Web3 domains, on-chain domains provider. Thank you, Sandy, for joining us. How are you doing today?
David, I am doing great. It's getting close to one of my favorite times of the year, so I am doing outstanding.
Nice. Big fan of Christmas, holiday times.
Big fan of Christmas. Yes, you can't see my room this way, but I've got a Christmas tree here because I love the color pink, and I've got another big Christmas tree here.
Nice.
So I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
Pink Christmas tree. I haven't seen one of those in a while, but that's pretty cool. Awesome. Well, yeah, I'm so grateful for you joining us here, and definitely it's a nice holiday vibe, so I appreciate you joining. You said you're joining from Phoenix, Arizona, so that's really cool. We'd like to tap in up here in Canada, but really grateful for the opportunity to pick your brains and learn a little bit more about Unstoppable Domains and everything you're building. I will say, as someone who was very new to the concept of a blockchain domain back in 2021, when I first kind of got indoctrinated into this crazy Web3 era that we're in, Unstoppable Domains was one of the first ones I saw. That and the ENS, the .eth option as well. And so I'm very familiar with Unstoppable Domains, and I think it's really cool how you've got kind of .crypto, .dao, and all these different options. So we're going to really get into that. I'm really grateful for having you here. So yes, thank you again, everyone, for joining us. I am David Chroma. I'm your host. I go by Chrome in the metaverse. And today we're going to be looking at the topic of on-chain domains and really, what is the advantage of getting an on-chain domain for yourself, and how do they differ from, your typical website domains, right? Your .coms and your .cas for those of us over here in Canada. And there are some clear, functional ways that they differentiate, right? So the main advantage that I've seen is the idea that you can kind of simplify your wallet address, right? So here at Web3 Warriors, for example, we have a fairly large collection of NFTs across Ethereum, across Solana, across Tezos, and we have web3warriors.eth, we have web3warriors.sol, we have web3warriors.tez, and so you can use these simple domains to essentially support the show. You could send donations via that on-chain domain, but you also have the ability to really just kind of promote your wallet a little bit more and promote what you're doing on-chain by just showing, hey, go check out web3warriors.eth, and you can see my whole collection of Ethereum NFTs, for example. And so it ends up being a very powerful PR tool, but also a powerful fundraising tool. And so I think when it comes to Unstoppable Domains and the way that they've kind of positioned themselves to be able to provide quite a few more options when it comes to buying an on-chain domain, and the way that they've seemingly kind of been different than maybe a .solana or a .ethereum and some of these blockchain-based domains that are very clearly just kind of making things a little bit simpler for their ecosystem, right? So that's what we're going to get into today. I really look forward to hearing about, how Unstoppable Domains is dealing with kind of the evolving marketplace. Of course, I imagine things maybe aren't quite as hype as they were back in 2021, 22, but it's a continuous business. It's been doing well, and so really grateful to have Sandy here to kind of tell us how things are going and maybe give us a point of view towards around the corner and what we can look forward to. So really grateful again. With that, maybe before we jump into Unstoppable Domains, Sandy, could you share a little bit about your own background and what brought you to the blockchain, what brought you to Web3, and then we'll talk a bit about Unstoppable. Thanks again for joining.
Yeah, thank you. So I have been around emerging tech my whole career, David. I started in SOA, or service-oriented architecture, which later became the basis for the cloud. I then got into AI, believe it or not. In fact, the other day I was doing a presentation at a university, and I said, I started in AI in 2013, and a young guy raised his hand and he said, Miss Carter, ChatGPT just came out. You couldn't have been doing it in 2013. But of course, you and I know AI's been around for a lot longer than just ChatGPT.
Yep.
And then I was working at Amazon Web Services, a phenomenal company, by the way. And I was asked to look into blockchain and how different companies were using it. We would say Web 2 companies are using it because a lot of the Department of Defense, financial services companies, hospitals for supply chain, anybody who needs a ledger uses and leverages blockchain. And so I did a couple of projects. I really got into what Amazon calls deep dive, right? Deep diving into the details of the technology. And I just fell in love with blockchain. the privacy, the programmability, just everything about it was so powerful. And of course, crypto is one of those use cases. And so I decided to do a little side project, set up my wallet, started buying some NFTs, started playing around with Bitcoin and Ethereum. This was probably about 4 years ago, maybe 5 years
Okay.
ago. And, just kept doing that. And I wrote an article. I'm a Forbes contributor as well. Wrote an article about blockchain and how blockchain really needed an identity and the power of identity for the future. And I got a call from the CEO of Unstoppable. He said, I'm coming up to Seattle. That's where I lived at that time because I worked for Amazon.
Nice.
And he came up, took me to dinner, and kind of the rest is history. We kind of agreed on the vision and the direction. And I left Amazon Web Services and came over to this, now a unicorn startup called Unstoppable with so much incredible potential.
That's amazing. So how many years? That was like 3 years ago now, 4 years ago. You started with Unstoppable.
I joined. It's almost 3 years, not quite 3 years,
Nice.
but almost 3 years. That's right.
Nice. Nice. So for
Time
those,
flies when you're having fun.
that's for sure. Yeah, it's been wild. Just thinking about the fact that, like I said, that kind of Web3, I had already kind of dabbled buying Ethereum, Bitcoin here and there before 2021, but it was really kind of the understanding of what NFTs were, first of all, and the idea that they're now bringing kind of real world value into the digital world that really just kind of got me hooked. And I saw this from kind of a gamer perspective for sure. I'm surprised
Oh, yeah.
how slow gamers have been to kind of adopt and promote the blockchain. There's a lot of kind of FUD, I would say, fear, uncertainty, and doubt when it comes to the gamer space. But on the other side, it's the art that really got me hooked. The idea that you can actually directly peer-to-peer support an artist, buy their art, have their art in your digital wallet, and then be able to turn around and show off that art, in the metaverse, as we like to do at Web3 Warriors. You can check out our gallery at web3warriors.io, for example, and see a big collection of our NFTs, not all of them, but some of them. But that whole concept really is what hooked me in. And now, like you say, 4 years later, and it seems like that was just yesterday, but it's kind of crazy. So for those who don't know, maybe give us a kind of refresher on what is kind of the mission and vision of Unstoppable Domains, and what is the kind of solution that you're providing for the Web3 space.
Well, it is so incredibly exciting, I believe, what we're doing at Unstoppable. So we sell domains, and you might be thinking, domains, they're not like incredibly exciting, but they are, because we believe they're going to be the first asset that actually becomes not a Web3 asset or a Web2 asset, but actually an asset that has characteristics of both. So let me just repeat that. Domains will be the first real world digital asset that will go 100% on chain and will bring verification, payments, and digital finance to consumers globally. Such a powerful mission. So what we want to do is we are training the world on what an on-chain digital identity is. So for example, we have some digital identities that are solely on-chain today. Think .nft, which you guys will like at Web3 Warriors. Think .crypto, which I'm sure all the Bitcoin lovers love right now, with it hitting $106,000, $107,000.
Yeah, new all-time high today,
Yeah. So those are some of our, what I would call, essential Web3 digital identities. Those exist on chain. And because they exist on chain, one of the use cases which you brought up was that you can transact with it. And that is still our number one use case today. It was the reason we were founded, to take away that long set of, 21 digits and characters. And you could just replace it with something that was human readable. We do 10 million resolutions every week.
Wow.
Meaning we take Sandy.nft or Sandy.crypto, take it to a wallet, and vice versa. 10 million every week. That's pretty impressive. And we're, many claim we're not yet in the bears. I mean, not yet in the bull, right? We're still right there. So I think that's pretty fabulous. But you can do a ton of other things. I too am a gamer. Nice. My gamer tag is Pink Mamba. And when I play a blockchain game, David, I don't want that crypto address up there. Like, I don't want, if I'm on the leaderboard, I want my freaking name on the leaderboard. And so you can actually resolve that crypto address inside of a game like Atari or Snook or Metropolis, and you can show your leader tag. But you can also do more with that on-chain digital identity. You can also communicate, message in an encrypted fashion with anybody who has, is basically in that same tribe as you. And for me, that is also powerful. It's right now our number 2 use case, the ability to communicate with each other through a chat-like feature based on your digital identity, like sandy.crypto or david.nft. Now, when we started that mission, it was really fascinating because we felt, oh my gosh, this is so powerful. Everybody in Web2 is going to run here and try it out. And guess what? A few people ran, but not many people ran. And we wanted to extend this out. And so what we decided is, hey, what if we could tokenize .com or .io? You said your Web3 Warriors.io or .ai or. And so what we decided to do is, if everybody didn't understand what we were doing, let's bring the value to them. So right now we are tokenizing.com, and tokenizing, I don't know how sophisticated your audience is, but all tokenizing means is that we're taking .com, which is a DNS domain, and we're placing it on the blockchain. So now it lives outside the blockchain in a database, but it also now lives on the blockchain, and those two are synced together. So what does that mean?
Yeah.
So let's say we have web3warriors.io. If you bought that from us or you transferred that in, that would be tokenized, and you could now use web3warriors.io to transact in crypto, or for your gamer tag, or for your communications, or. Wow. So it now brings, yes, which is why I made that statement right at the beginning, right? I think I'm in such a phenomenal place because these domains, these digital identities will be the first real world digital asset that will go 100% on chain. Why wouldn't you? Like, if you could have a .com that has all the power of searchability and everything of Web2, but you could also have verification and payments and digital finance, why not? So I do believe that this will be the first real world digital asset in this space.
That's pretty fascinating.
And that's what we do here. Now, the other interesting thing, David, is that in the Web2 world, if that world will still exist, everybody uses a .com or a .io for your business, right? Like you have web3warriors.io, primarily businesses, right? Unless you're Paris Hilton, then you're going to have your own site, or your Taylor Swift or something like that. But most people don't have their own site. However, in Web3, like the .cryptos, the .nft, it's basically all people.
Yeah, that's true.
Now you've got a personal digital identity that you can use and leverage. And I'm sure we'll talk more about so many use cases for a person having that digital identity as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. And when I think about it, it is definitely more so from a personal perspective. And that's an interesting difference, right? In Web 2, yeah, there are, of course, influencer types or famous people who will have their website, for their personal name. But in Web 3, it's like that was kind of the default. Like I had my own davidchroma.eth, which I still use on my Twitter, my personal Twitter, and then I also, of course, like I said, have a business one, or web3warriors.eth. But it depends on the function. And I think everybody kind of went personal first and said, oh, this is my personal wallet, therefore this is my personal on-chain domain that points to this wallet. But I don't want to lose track of this idea that we can tokenize basically any domain, is what you're saying, right? So if you own a domain right now that you're using and you plan on having for the foreseeable future, you can tokenize it with Unstoppable. And can you just explain exactly how that works? And I assume there's costs related to it, right? And if you already own the domain, you're transferring it from your current domain provider to Unstoppable. And then how does that work as far as tokenizing it? And then how do you carry it on into the future? And maybe that gets to kind of annual subscriptions. I know that's a more kind of common thing in the domain space. I believe there's options with Unstoppable. There's like permanent one, or there's annual ones. Can you just speak a little bit to that and then get back to kind of how you tokenize any domain? That's very interesting.
Yeah, so that's a lot of questions, David.
Sorry. Yeah. So first off, how are
You're
you
so
handling kind of
brilliant.
the on-chain piece, and how are you actually tokenizing the domains that were not in Web3, were not on-chain before? How do you do that?
So tokenizing a .com really just means that you are now owning or putting the rights of that domain onto the blockchain. And typically what that means is that you will take that .com, or it could be a .io. It doesn't have to be a .com. And we have a smart contract, which is part of the overall blockchain world. And we include metadata in that smart contract to link the token or to the domain. And so that registration details are there. Think about who is data if you're a DNS person, or the registrar information, et cetera. Then you would mint that, which means that you're just going to create a token that represents that domain. And that token includes metadata pointing to the domain, right? The ownership, et cetera, and links those two together. So your .com and that tokenized version are linked together. And so you can't sell one without the other. They're together. Now you asked me about, what if you have a domain? Let's say you bought a domain from GoDaddy or from Pork Bun or from somebody else. What you can do is you can transfer that domain into Unstoppable, and then we will tokenize that .com or that .io. We don't support there's like, I don't know, hundreds and thousands
There's
of
a lot.
domains,
Yeah.
but we support a lot of them today. And so you can now transfer those over and have that tokenized. Once you do that, let's say you took Web3 Warriors and you tokenized it, web3warriors.io, and you tokenized it. Now you could use web3warriors.io as your wallet, as a gaming tag, as the ability to communicate. Now that has the abilities, every ability that comes with something living on chain, you now have that ability with that particular domain. This is why, we think it's just so easy, right? And so why wouldn't you do it? Why wouldn't you want that ability, especially right now with Bitcoin going crazy? I just listened to a podcast this morning, David, and the guy said, people don't realize how much of the internet is riding today on a blockchain railway. So as more of the internet becomes, embedded with AI, embedded with blockchain, I think that this is really a bet for the future, that you're going to tokenize it. And then pretty soon we won't be having this discussion about, is it a Web3 domain? Is it a DNS domain? We'll just say it's a domain.
Right.
And domains have all of these characteristics. They live on chain and they live in DNS, and that's kind of the end of it, right? And I think I'm so excited for that, because if you think about technologies, like just think about technologies in the past, when you start with them, you start by giving them a name, right? Like, this is the internet, or this is IPFS, or you give them a name. And then once everybody starts using them, you don't really care about that, right? Like, it would be weird for me to say, now go to the internet and do this, because you're just saying, hey, go online, right?
Yeah.
And think about that. I just watched a Today episode from, I don't know how many years ago. And they were explaining, what does online mean?
Wow.
They were walking through, like you and I today are walking through, what does on-chain mean? They were walking through, what does online mean? And you're sitting there and you're like, oh my God, online, you don't know what online is? But think about it. Maybe 5 years from now, someone will listen to our podcast and they'll be like, why didn't David just ask her what on-chain is? Everybody knows on-chain, right? Maybe that,
Yeah.
I think that could be what happens.
That is a fascinating future. That's what we're here for sure. And the idea of having a kind of standard or Web2, whatever traditional domain point to a wallet is a really cool idea. And when it comes to kind of wallet recognition, is that a hurdle for you to jump over? Like as far as, which wallets will allow you to type in, for example, web3warriors.io and now actually send funds to that exact address? How does that work as far as functionality and adoption? It seems like part of that is you pitching it to MetaMask, for example, or a Phantom wallet or whatever the case might be, to realize the tech and acknowledge it, and then, put in place the solution to support that, right?
Wise you are. That is absolutely true. Now, we recently just announced a partnership with MetaMask.
Okay.
So you
Congratulations.
thank you. Now you can resolve any unstoppable domain in the MetaMask wallet. If you don't know, if you're new to this and you're just listening to David and I for the first time, MetaMask is one of the most popular wallets out there today. You also mentioned Phantom. You can also resolve with Phantom as well. And so you do have a choice of wallets. It wouldn't be every wallet, because you know what, David? I just found 6 new wallets this morning that I never knew existed. So now we're going to go out to them and get them to integrate the tech so that they can also support us as well. So, it's an ongoing mission. It's part of my job leading go-to-market at Unstoppable, is to just make sure any wallet that you need that we support. So if you're listening and you're like, man, I want, this new wallet supported, give me a call or tweet me or Slack me or WhatsApp me, or what else is there? Oh, Telegram me, Signal me, whatever.
Yeah, no limits. There's the social media options are exploding. Let me give a shout out to the Temple wallet too, for my friends in the Tezos community. I don't know if that's on your radar yet, but Tezos is a good one for the art community for sure. So another question that I threw at you there when I peppered you with a few, on the kind of permanence of these domains, right? How are you handling that conversation? It's pretty standard that they're kind of annually required to be renewed, or you pay for multiple years, however that goes. Are you handling that differently at all compared to, like, say, an ENS or other, on-chain domains? And yeah, what does that look like?
Yeah. So before I could say any of the domains you can own, you can buy and you own forever. And that is true today if it's a true Web3 domain. You buy it and you own it forever. And David, our logic for doing that was, this is your digital identity. You are going to invest, you're going to put your art in there. You're going to have your gamer tag tied to it. You're going to have tickets to the Super Bowl in there, or to the Gary Vee conference. You're not going to want to subscribe every year to that. And you don't want to risk losing that, because that is you. And that is still true today. All of our Web3 domains, you buy it, you own it, it's yours forever. Now, let's talk about DNS domains that come over. You still have to renew those on a subscription basis. So, if you're buying one of those, you can auto renew for a certain number of years if you, provide all your information. Makes it easier, but you still have to auto renew or renew that domain. We also sell .eth. .eth is a Web3 domain. We don't own that one, but we sell it. And so that is also a subscription model.
Because that's the way the ENS set it up, right?
That's the way ENS set it up. So that is also subscription. So if you buy .eth, you can come to our site and buy it, and then you can do that auto subscription. You can also buy it for cash, not crypto. So there's a lot of advantages to, coming over to us. So there's basically, the model of, if it's an unstoppable domain, we own it, you own it for life. If it's coming into us or someone else owns the registry for it, typically it's a subscription model, and we do manage that subscription model as well.
Awesome. Okay, good to know for sure. And that is still, I think, a pretty awesome, valuable offer. Frankly, you didn't have to create it so that Web3 domains were, purchased once and have them forever. So that's a really awesome solution. And I think that actually differentiates you from some of the other ones. I believe Solana is one of the other ones that did give you that option with the .sols. When you buy it, you don't have to keep rebuying it every year. But I think that's on chain, right? You want immutability. You don't want to have to worry about losing things that you've got in your on-chain wallet. It's part of the whole point, right? So I'm curious, when it comes to the NFT piece, and maybe I'll bring up your profile that you shared with us to speak to this a little bit. But each of these domains that you own, are an actual NFT that shows up alongside other, more traditional art NFTs or community NFTs and all of that. How important is that to you? And, maybe you can speak to kind of why that is that way, and how kind of Unstoppable is looking at kind of the NFT conversation. And I guess even from an investment standpoint, right? Like I know Ethereum, for example, ENS, for a while there, I don't know if it's still as crazy as it once was, but there was a lot of speculation in the domain space, right? And a lot of flipping domains and a lot of treating these ENS NFTs as, real valuable domains, especially if they were like 3-digit or whatever was considered, a rare type of domain. Is Unstoppable looking at kind of that speculative side of things, obviously without having the need to have it be renewed? I think that also impacts that kind of tradability a little bit. But yeah, how is Unstoppable handling kind of the whole NFT market conversation?
Yeah, well, first, if you have up the the ud.me/sandy.nft, you can see on here a lot of what I consider really important elements. In fact, a lot of Web2 users get in here and they're like, oh, wow, this is kind of like your LinkedIn profile. And it kind of is, except that everything on here is trusted and verified. And so if you think about it, in here are, I would consider like your digital identity as like a super NFT. It holds other NFTs and it links to other wallets. So you can look at mine and you can see I'm linked to 3 other wallets. So they are basic other NFTs that sit in there, but you can also see tickets, like a ticket to a Super Bowl. I was talking to some of the guys at the NFL. I'm here in Phoenix, and they had the Super Bowl here, 2 years ago. And they were telling me that one year they decided to see who their ticket holders were. So they went out to social media, David, and if everybody on social media who said, hey, I went to the Super Bowl, actually went to the Super Bowl, the stadium would have been 5 times as big.
Yeah.
Right? So now if you have that ticket and it sits inside your profile, it's soul bound, which for your users means that I can't transfer it to David because David didn't go to the Super Bowl. I did. And so it's in there and you can see it. Those are the types of things that are held here. In the future, I believe this future world is even more powerful because in there, you can have data about you being a citizen. So for example, we closed a .Austin. So we now have a TLD for Austin citizens.
Wow.
Imagine having in there a digitized version of your license or your car title happening today. Actually, Tezos is doing it in California, and other chains are doing it in New Jersey and West Virginia and other places.
Nice.
What about your Chamber of Commerce membership? You can have that in there. So all of that fits inside, and cities are just seeing the potential of creating that digital citizen. What about healthcare? I was just up in New York City. I spoke to 100 healthcare startups, and they were talking about digitizing your healthcare records for you and placing them in your digital identity. Obviously not shown publicly because I don't want anybody to know, like my blood pressure is high right now because I'm on with David. But having everything private so that you can choose to share it with a doctor. You don't know, but I actually broke my femur in Brazil.
Oh no.
And I needed emergency surgery, and they couldn't do it because it took 72 hours to get my healthcare data from the States down to Brazil. First of all, they wouldn't give it to me, even though it was my data.
Wow.
And secondly, it just took so long. Imagine if I had that on my digital identity, on my phone, and I could have just pushed a button and those records could have gone. I could have had my surgery immediately instead of waiting 72 hours. There's so much potential here with having this digital identity, which is based on the blockchain. And so, if you think about it, that profile page really projects a ton about you. It also has communities on there too. If you go scroll down, and those communities represent, I'm in a Meta Rides racing game. So you might like this one. You race these cars, these NFT cars. And if you're on the leaderboard, you get a badge. And now with that badge, I have token gated access to buy faster cars And I get to chat with all the other people who were on the leaderboard, discuss
Uh,
their strategy. How did they come one? Why was I number five? It's just a really cool community builder as well.
that
So as
is.
you can tell, I love the profile. I think the profile gives you such power, almost like a Web2 profile, but even greater. I'll give you one more story that I really love, David.
Sure.
So in this profile, in the Unstoppable profile, everything is verified, trusted because it lives on chain, right? So a university can send me a diploma. It's soul bound, right? Because I can't transfer my diploma to you,
No.
soul bound, and I know for sure that I went to that college. So I was reading about LinkedIn, and a third of people on LinkedIn who put a college on there actually never went to that college.
Jeez. That's
So some
crazy.
people, yeah, some people will say, "Oh, I graduated from Harvard," and you'll find out they went to a one-day seminar, at Harvard.
Right.
Or they'll just make it up. I went to a school here. It was close to University of Pennsylvania, so I'll put University of Pennsylvania. It's just crazy to me. So here it's trusted and it's verified because it lives on blockchain. And that's why I fell in love with blockchain, because it is trusted and verifiable.
100%. That's what it's all about. Kind of transparency, accountability. And yeah, I think everything you just described about the digital citizen, about the healthcare, about universities, like this is the future we're here for. What do you say to those that are kind of scared of that future, right? And we all know the fear, uncertainty, and doubt. We all have members of our family who, turn their cheek when you mention crypto or, just think, oh, it's all just scammers or whatever the case might be. You personally, what are your thoughts on the kind of fear, uncertainty, and doubt? Because I agree, the technology's there, even democracy, right? We look at elections. It's getting to a point where anytime it doesn't go the way you like, people are questioning the result, right? So we can put this on chain. We can know 110% which citizens voted. It won't show how they voted. It's very easy to show that they voted, but not how they voted. And maybe you as an individual can look and see how you voted, but nobody else can. So these things are there for us, but as much as people like us advocate for these solutions, there are those who are very scared of these solutions. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
I guess one part of me would say, rightly so. When I came into the industry, I don't know about you, I got rugged. Like
Oh,
somebody took, have you had that happen?
not yet. Fortunately, I have not, but I have way too many friends who have had this happen. So I'm very familiar. Yeah.
Somebody sent me something that was so stinking cute, and I clicked on it. I should not have clicked on it, but it gave them access to my wallet, and they drained my wallet.
Oh,
And so, part of me says, yeah, we need better protection, but we're seeing that come into space right now, right? Like we have a unstoppable wallet now, and with our unstoppable wallet, it's really like Web2. You get a password. It's not a seed phrase. You can recover it if you need to recover it. There is a recovery kit. I mean, the whole nine yards. So we're starting to see what I would consider more user-friendly ways to deal with this space. But trust me when I say this space is real, it's not going away. So I think people need to start learning a little bit about it. And think about, in real life, right? If I had my wallet and I left it at a restaurant, when I came back, my wallet would probably be gone. If they took my cash, I can't get my cash back, right? There's no way I can track that down. There's no way I'm going to get that cash back. It's gone.
right.
And so it's really no different than today, except it's digital, which scares some people. I would
100%.
just say, sit down. I'm the founder of a group called Unstoppable Women of Web3 and AI. And we try to break this down. We try to take them through like a one-on-one course on what is crypto, what is a digital identity, how can you safeguard yourself. And so we try to teach them, teach everybody. Anybody's welcome to come. But we did it for women of Web3 and AI, and it's free. So you can just go and learn. I would just say the first step would be to learn about it and see if it's comfortable for you. And if not, there are options like, having a custodied wallet that could help you maybe start out easier.
Hmm.
There is also a family wallet plan. Maybe you have someone, maybe it's not family, but maybe it's a friend wallet where someone else can approve your transactions before you do something until you just get really safe and feel good about what's going on. So that's the way I would say it's not going away. And heck, my dad even has his own wallet now. So
Nice, nice. I
I've
haven't
done
got my dad on it yet. I've tried to talk him into it, but I'm not going to force it, you know. But that's awesome. Congrats, kudos to you. That's amazing. So, how do you think that things are evolving when you look at kind of the metaverse conversation, and how is Unstoppable Domains looking at this kind of 3D immersive environment? You know, like what you're talking about with digital citizens and the ability of basically being able to just walk into the digital environment and visit your DMV or visit whatever, you know, regulatory body in the digital space, as opposed to needing to travel IRL, right? How is Unstoppable Domains looking at the metaverse conversation? I noticed on your profile you have your location as the metaverse, so you're familiar. But yeah, what's Unstoppable doing in that space, or how are the domains kind of factoring into that conversation?
Well, first of all, I know the metaverse now is probably, a lot of people are like, don't say the M word.
Yeah.
But it's now the S word, right? It's now spatial computing. Spatial computing is the same thing as the metaverse. And now it's okay to talk about spatial.
Right, of course.
Still think that spatial computing and the metaverse are going to have a breakout moment. I don't know when that's going to be. I think, again, it's an ease of use discussion, right? I'm an adjunct professor, and I was teaching, I teach at Carnegie Mellon, Silicon Valley,
Oh, nice.
and I was teaching a class in the metaverse. And one of the other professors wanted to come and listen to me. And I'm like, hey, do you want me to help you set up your avatar? No, I got it. But it's still a little bit hard, right? It's still a little bit, you have to say, it's still a little bit hard. So he didn't do that. He came into the class and he ended up being stuck on the ceiling
Oh,
for the
gosh.
entire lecture. And he kept trying to get my attention, but I was teaching. I couldn't help him come off of the ceiling. And so I think that illustrates like why people go away from it a little bit. It's a little hard, but technology right now is moving so fast. I love that quote from Alice in Wonderland where she says, I have to run twice as fast just to stay in place. That's the world we're in. Maybe it's 10 times as fast. And so because of that, the technology is getting better and better and better. I mean, have you used the Apple Vision Pro? I mean,
I have not yet. We were a bit later to get it up here in Canada, but we do have it, and I got to try it out. But I've heard a lot of really good things, and frankly, without getting too critical, I'm not a huge fan of Meta, so I love the idea of some good competition out there for those guys because they're kind of killing it in the VR space right now. But no, I haven't tried it. What was your experience like?
So I loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, I went into the store and I experienced it. They create a digital twin of the store, and then you can see everything. You got Alicia Keys doing a concert right there with the. I mean, it feels like you're like you and Alicia. You're tight. Right?
Nice.
It really does. It is. It is an incredible experience. I
Nice.
do understand they're not selling enough of them yet. I think because people they're still not ready. It's got to be a timing thing, right? It's got to be a timing thing.
Yeah.
But we do support multiple metaverses. Metropolis is one of the ones we love. If you haven't tried out Metropolis Metaverse, amazing, amazing. So you should take a look at that. It's something that I think is going to come. And I'll just give you one story from my daughter. So my daughter was taking a class about outer space, and she was really like totally not into it. And one day she came home and she was talking about Mars and the red dirt, and it was just like a whole different thing. And I said, wow, you're so excited about this. She said, we had a guest lecturer today and we went to Mars. I was like, what? She goes, we went to Mars. And he brought in headsets and they went to Mars and they got to feel the red dirt and see it. And they were
Wow.
walking on Mars. And my daughter was pumped. She was so excited that she had been to Mars and experienced it. And so that's the potential, right? Or
Mhm.
imagine, I was picturing when I was in the Apple glasses, I love fashion. And I was picturing, sitting there on my couch, having a fashion show walk by me and me going, that one, that one, that one, that's what I want. Because and it's a fashion show for me, right? Again, I know it's going to take a little while, but I do think that will happen. That's my perspective.
Amazing, amazing. That's the future we're going for sure. And yeah, I see that. And yeah, we've spoken to some in the fashion space, and they're definitely, I think, leading the charge. And even in the AI conversation, the way that they were so quick to start leaning on AI to even help with fashion, which of course some designers are not huge fans of. But I think the tech is the tech, and yeah, when it comes to the metaverse and the ability to, like you say, just kind of see everything right up close and be really fully immersed in what seems like a really IRL experience, but is digital. That's the future. So awesome. We'll have to check out Metropolis Metaverse. I'm not too familiar with that one myself, but I'll definitely check that out. Getting to the kind of on-chain dynamics of what Unstoppable does, are you able to share a bit of kind of exactly how it works, and are you working on one layer specifically? Like, do you generally just work with Polygon, or is it a different layer 2, or what's the solution there, the actual tech stack?
Yeah, so so let me answer the tech stack first. So we had been minting on Ethereum and the gas prices. So for those of you who don't know, when you mint, you're paying for people to help you out with the transaction. And those are called, usually miners that do that for you, because you're not working with a centralized group. So it's not Amazon or Google who are processing that for you. It's, all these miners out there. And based on when you do your minting, it could take longer, and therefore the price could be high. So on an L1, that's a layer 1, that is like the foundation, Ethereum, for example, the price is pretty high. What then entered into the equation were L2s. And I don't know, David, is this too basic for your
No, you're good. Yeah, this is good. This is good. It's an important piece. We talk on layer 1 and layer 2s and the differences sometimes, but specifically for what Unstoppable Domain is doing and why it's relevant, for sure. Thank you.
Okay, so if you think about an L2, L2s came along to provide really, some of the I would say reduction of price because of the way they do things. And so one of the first ones we started looking at was Polygon. And one of the things that we wanted was something that was more scalable, something that reduced cost, and something that had a fast transaction speed. And so we chose Polygon. Polygon transactions, they claim, are carbon neutral as well. That was also important to us, but we still did not want to compromise the L1 security. So you're still using L1 security, but the L2 is offloading transactions off of the main chain. It's enhancing that scalability, right? So you get more TPS, or more transactions per second, because they reduce the network congestion. And so because of that, we also supported Polygon. Now, recently, there's so many chains out there, David. I can't even.
There's a lot of L2 solving for that problem you just described. Yeah.
And so Base has come up. We like Base. We like Coinbase. And so we decided to support Base, which is another L2, layer two. It's another layer two, again, looking to enhance that scalability, reduce the cost. So we're now supporting Base as well.
Okay.
And then we've announced that in January, we'll also support Solana.
Oh, wow. So
then support Ethereum, Polygon, Base, and Solana. And then we also made the announcement that Sonic, which is Phantom, I guess like V2, is now called Sonic. Phantom was like the number 2 chain to come out right behind Ethereum. They now have their Sonic chain, which is wicked fast, low cost, all of these things. So we also announced that we would support Sonic as well, which is another new chain. And finally, we've announced that we'll support the Abstract chain. If you don't know the Pudgy Penguins, you should definitely get to know them.
I'm familiar with Pudgy Penguins.
Yeah, they just announced their new token, their Pingu. And they purchased another layer 2, which is Abstract chain, and we will also be supporting Abstract chain. We do the TLD.Pudgy for Pudgy Penguins. We also do the TLD for Sonic. We do the TLD for Polygon. So we also are trying to help these chains get their own naming service as well.
Okay, cool. I'm sorry, TLD, just break that down for the audience. Just want to make sure. Sorry?
Yeah. A TLD is a top level domain.
Gotcha.
And so a TLD is .com, .io, .crypto, .eth. Those are all top level domains. It's a
Nice.
naming service, or you could just consider it, kind of the extension for the full domain.
Gotcha. And so I know Base also rolled out their own kind of domain name system, right? I think I locked in something.base a while ago. Are you guys involved with that then, or is your team involved with that as well, or how does they
So
kind
that
of?
is actually a subdomain,
That would
and
be
we know
sub, yeah.
subdomains are going to do very well. So we are still talking to the Coinbase team to see if they would also do a TLD. That's a full blood, full force TLD of their own. But I'll
Right.
keep you posted on that.
Awesome. Yeah, you're right. It is like based some .eth.base or something like that. So it is a subdomain, right? Yeah, it's quite different.
Yep.
And then it doesn't have as much functionality, I guess, right?
Yep.
Interesting. So how are you looking at kind of the market, right? You mentioned Bitcoin just hit 107,000. It's like things seem to be moving in the right direction, but we also know the industry is very volatile, and Unstoppable Domains, kudos to your team, has been able to weather, the worst lows that we all experienced, for the last 2 years or so. And now hopefully preparing for a bull market. But how do you kind of deal with the volatility, and how are you kind of anticipating the next, I don't know, year to 3 years, just making sure you're viable and profitable into the future, right?
Yeah. I mean, for us, it's about innovation, innovation, innovation. Keep building, 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 right? At Amazon, we talked about Amazon Web Services. We talked about we work for the builder. That's what we're working for. And that's what we're doing as well. We're building, building, building. And so a couple of things that we've done. One, we accept non-crypto payments. So for any normie out there, sorry, normie is someone who is a Web2 user. We accept PayPal. We accept a credit card. But if you want to pay with crypto or you want to use crypto.com, then, more force to you. I think giving people a choice and meeting them where they are is really important. The second thing that we introduced was a wallet, and our wallet is called a light wallet. It tries to use all the terminology that everybody's familiar with, passwords, not keys. It tries to have a recovery system, just like you're used to, right? Because you and I both know if you lose the keys to your wallet, you can't call 1-800 help
No.
me keys, right? Yes. But for our wallet, there is a recovery package so you can recover it. So we're trying to, again, meet people where they are today. We also started a marketplace. You asked me about speculation. We do have speculators who are with us. And there are speculators in .com and .io
Of
too, and
course,
they
yeah.
can also sell in our marketplace. So we do enable, a future where you can speculate on these names. Like you could look at cars.crypto, for example, and maybe, just like cars.com went for bugazoomy dollars, you could do the same as well. So part of what we're doing is just continuously innovating. One of the big news things are, taking collateral against your domain, because some of these are worth a lot of money.
Hmm.
So, collateralizing your domain, taking a loan.
That's something you offer, or that's just something that would be kind of
It's
like
in
a?
it's in a roadmap that we've
Okay.
been talking about
Nice.
as well. So there's a ton of innovation, and I think for us in the future, it's about constantly innovating and constantly partnering with our colleagues on the Web2 side. So we will also be taking forward some of our Web3 domains to get them a DNS counterpart. So just like we take .com today, we tokenize it, we place it on chain. We have .crypto today. That's already tokenized. But what it doesn't have is a DNS, sister or brother.
Okay.
And so what we want to do is we're going to take .crypto to the auction or the GTLD process, and we will try to get .crypto also its DNS linkage.
Awesome.
So we've got a lot of really interesting innovations. I think we're one of the fastest builders in the space, fastest innovators. We follow the Amazon philosophy, which is, listen to your customers. We had a call this morning with all our whales. They gave us some new features.
Nice.
Let's try those out. If they stick, we go. If they don't, we move on to the next thing.
Nice, nice. And how much is the funding really community based? Like you said, you got whales who really believe in the domains. They're investing heavily. Is there a lot of, VC outside investment kind of that you really rely on heavily as well? Or are you bootstrapping it for, how are things looking kind of from that perspective?
So we actually did our unicorn round. So that means that our valuation is over $1 billion. We got, I believe it was 75 million. Pantera was our lead investor. Of course, Tim Draper, who supported us from the very beginning, was in there. Coinbase is an investor. So we do have a lot of runway. We also, because we're a believer in crypto, we also have not, many companies talk about a cash reserve, right? Like I'm on the board of a company, we talk about a cash reserve. We talk about a Bitcoin reserve.
Let's go.
And so Bitcoin's doing well. So that also helps us out too.
Mm-hmm.
And we now have 4.1 million domains, which we're the largest on-chain domain provider in the world. So
Nice.
That also helps us to keep that moving and grooving too.
That is super exciting. Congratulations on all that. That's really amazing. And I think innovating is always the solution, right? And it's often easier said than done, but all those things you just mentioned seem very potentially lucrative. So the marketplace is live already, or are you saying that's kind of, yeah? Okay, yep. Awesome.
Marketplace is live. Our wallet is live. We'll have another, improvement set to it. We're just constantly improving. We'll have another improvement set coming out for it as well. Nice. And we'll just constantly, improve and make things better and better and better as we go along.
Awesome. Awesome. And you mentioned crypto.com. So there is the option for people to actually get your services by way of crypto.com. And are you working with them kind of on the marketplace side of things too, or what's the connection there with crypto.com?
So you can pay using that exchange. If you go to our website and you want to check out, you can use crypto.com as one of them that's available there. Okay. We just did a huge partnership. We just did a what we call a premium domain sale with crypto.com, where premium domains are usually domains for speculation. So it's like restaurant.crypto or, x.x, those domains that are really hot.
Right.
So we just did 2 premium domain auctions with them on their NFT marketplace side as well.
Nice, nice. So that's good. It works for both parties, right? You get a little excitement on the crypto.com side, and you guys obviously get some promotional advantages there. That's amazing. So have you faced any kind of resistance from the traditional kind of domains? I know we're hitting the 1 hour mark, so we'll be winding down here, but looking at kind of the way the industry's moving and the way that kind of a lot of the speculation and a lot of the energy is still kind of in your .coms, .ios, and it sounds like you have an awesome way to kind of reach out to that market and get some of their users and honestly enhance what they're able to do, right? But do you feel or do you sense any kind of pushback? Is there much competition in the way of kind of traditional domains?
So, you always have pushback when you've got someone who's used to doing something. I don't care what kind of change it is, right? It could be just changing, I just changed our laundry detergent and I thought I had a riot on my hands, right? Almost any kind of change people don't like, or they have to get adjusted to it, right? So I think that that's kind of normal. And so, yes, we've had some resistance, but I would say more than not, a lot of the big domainers see this potential. And they're like, why not? Like, what's the downside for putting it on chain? There's really no downside for putting it on chain. This industry, though, hasn't really had a lot of innovation in the last decade. So I think this is new innovation. Very excited about ICANN. They just published a paper about, or a note, I guess they call it, about blockchain domains. So, I think things, when change is involved, change is always hard, right?
Yeah, 100%.
What is one of my CEOs used to say, comfort and growth don't sit in the same sentence, because if you're growing, you're changing something, and people aren't comfortable with change. And that's just the way it's going to be, right? So
100%.
Yes, there have been some people who resisted it.
Awesome, awesome. Well, that's great, and I think you're on the side of the innovation and the positive change for good reasons, right? And looking at that use case piece, I know because you mentioned the DNS, right? So right now, communicating on your platform, awesome use case. Transacting, of course, number one use case probably for on-chain domains, be able to send money, send funds via the easy domain. And then you mentioned even like gamer tags and having the tag there. But looking at that DNS piece, is the actual function of a live website available through these domains yet? And is that part of the solution you're talking about when trying to get the DNS piece in place? You can't actually run a full platform off of one of these domains as it currently stands, right?
So that's really the power that Web2 brings, or DNS brings, which
Right.
is that the domain then can be searchable and taggable as a website. That's really powerful, right?
Mm.
I have been a chief marketing officer, and having a .com, and you're doing search engine optimization on it, taggable, you want all of that. Can you take just a Web3 domain and create a website? Absolutely. Brave, one of our favorite Web3 browsers, you can use it in Brave, you can use it in Chrome with an extension, you can use it in Opera,
Okay.
but it's not searchable and it's not taggable. So as a marketeer, that is a deficit that you need to overcome. Hence why we think having the DNS side married with the on-chain side really makes a lot of sense, right? The
Yeah.
DNS side brings that searchability and taggability of websites, and the on-chain side brings the ability to transact in crypto, to do things that are verifiable, to chat, to use it as a gamer tag. There's so many benefits. That's why it's really a match made in heaven.
That makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. Well, we support you in this transition to DNS and continuing to grow. And 4.1 million domains being active right now is very impressive and amazing. Over $1 billion valuation. So it really seems to be everything's kind of moving in the right direction for you. What are you most excited about next year, 2025? Looking around the corner, what you kind of mentioned a few things. Rolling out Solana support. That's going to be a pretty big deal, right? It's a pretty exciting little community, or not little, pretty big community they got going over on the Solana side of things. But yeah, what are you most excited about kind of looking at 2025 and what's next?
Well, I would tell you, so I am wicked excited about Solana. We've been working with the Solana Foundation. I love what those guys are doing. I love how they're innovating, like with the meme coins. They really drove that trend. I love Solana. So that's one thing. Sonic, though, Phantom Part 2 is going to be a killer as well. I mean, we put up a wait list for Sonic, 160,000 people on that wait list.
Holy moly.
Well, yeah, it is amazing. And the leadership there is also phenomenal. So I would tell you that for that area, Sonic is going to be wicked hot too. Abstract chain, like penguins are going crazy right now. My little penguin has gone up 44% in value. Oh my gosh.
Crazy.
And so, supporting abstract chain, having Pudgy, super exciting. We've got some other new extensions that are going out next year too. That's exciting. Our new marketplace, we'll have another version of the marketplace. We'll have another version of the wallet. We'll be doing lending and collateral. I mean, the sky's the limit. It's just so exciting. And one of the things I really look forward to, David, next December, you and I do this podcast again to see how far this has come. That would be a highlight as well.
Let's go. I like it. Let's do it next December. We'll lock it in. And I'm very, very grateful for this opportunity, Sandy. It's really impressive what Unstoppable is working on and everything you have going. And I think, like you said, this bull market around the corner is going to bring a lot of new change. And, embracing Solana, embracing this new chain and abstract and all these different opportunities, I can only imagine you're going to have some exponential growth on your hands. So pretty exciting times. Anything else you'd like to share before we wrap up here?
I would just kind of go back to that one thing I was talking about. I think that the time is now for you guys to participate. Domains will be the world's first real world digital asset. We'll be the first to go 100% chain. We enable verification. We enable payments. We enable digital finance. So if you don't own one, grab one now, because it's really, protecting your future. I will tell you, I was over in Dubai and we had a sheik buy one for his 6-day-old baby.
Oh my goodness.
He wanted his son to be the youngest, who was the youngest at that time, to have his domain. But more importantly, he was like, I want to make sure that my son's identity is protected. So just have that mindset. Come and play. Come, come play Storm with us and, check out this new world because it will be coming.
That is exciting, and that's amazing. We're here for it. I'm going to be locking in some more domains for Web3 Warriors for sure, and I'm really just excited to see how all of that rolls out. I'm looking at your marketplace here, and I'm not as active in the speculative side of things, but I will say, like, I like to collect, and I think that there's a lot of value, future value in what you're building out. And so whether you think it's going to increase in value or not, I think that collecting things for the sake of having your name locked in, having your business locked in, having whatever kind of important pieces of your identity that you want to have locked in on chain, Unstoppable seems to be the best option for it. And the fact that you allow the Web3 domains to be permanent is amazing. So really just thank you again, Sandy, and kudos to the Unstoppable team and everything you're building. Really appreciate having you here. And until next time, we'll catch you all in the metaverse. Take care.